Hello, my darlings. Welcome to another fabulous week of Becoming Abundant podcast with your host, Anna Maria Jinga. I am so happy to have you here. Thank you for joining and tuning in for another beautiful, peaceful, fantastic week together. Thank you again so much for all of your powerful messages, for supporting the mission and the whole movement that we're creating here at Becoming Abundant Community. It's absolutely an honor to serve you, to be surrounded by you, to hold space for you, to inspire you to be better, to do better, to show up better for you and for your family and for your people. So thank you, and I love you so much. This week, I have a very interesting topic to talk about, and it stems around peace. I was talking to a few friends of mine this past week around what do we actually expect of peace and how does it show up in our lives? And we were talking about how much we crave peace and we find substitutes for it, as in, oh, I love to be happy or joyful, I want to be excited. But all of these really high emotions make us sometimes crash down. If they're not anchored in something good, in something deep, in something meaningful, they're just a quick, wonderful high, but then you crash down. And when you crash down, I've noticed in me as well, when I do crash down, I don't crash down into just peace. I crash down into self doubt. I crash down into worry, into concern, into putting fear ahead of peace. And I was met this past weekend with a very powerful challenge of mine. As you guys know, a few years ago, well, for most of my life, I've lived in the space of feeling very out of control with my life, with my mind, and the way the thoughts and emotions were controlling me. And it was actually because of the energies that were living inside of me. But when I got baptized last year, rebaptized last year, I was finally free from all of that. And it was absolutely fantastic to experience that freedom and that peace. And it has been like that ever since. So it's like that verse in the Bible that says, and probably I'm paraphrasing, my peace I live with you, not as the world gives, but as I give to you. So it was that peace that makes no sense, as I like to call it, a peace that makes no sense to anyone else but me. It's that peace that I get to surrender and put my weight down, my hardship down, and just be in God's graceful presence that feels safe and peaceful. But with that, being able to have that in a world that, I've mentioned a few many times ago in the past around how I believe that the world that we're living in is actually the fallen world, and we are meant to be here as saints and servants of God to bring heaven on earth to this place. But it's still the fallen world, so it's easier to get caught up in it. We're always reminded in the scripture that we are not of in this world, but we're not of it. We are connected to this world, but it doesn't define us. So I found myself this past weekend. My husband was traveling and he was meant to come home a longer flight, but still come home on Saturday. And the flights kept getting delayed. And we were like, okay, whenever you arrive, as long as you arrive safe, it's all good. And they kept getting delayed and delayed. And at one point, they got on a flight. They flew about 30, 40 minutes into the flight. He had Wi-Fi and he was texting me, hey, actually, we need to turn around. We're having some problem with keeping the pressure in the cabin above, I don't know, 8,000. And we need to fly back to the primary airport so that we can change airplanes. Now, this was already evening, 9, 10 p.m., and the flight was about 3, 4 hours. So you can imagine how easy it was for me to have the cracked door open of fear. And I didn't let it get a hold of me, but it was so easy to imagine the worst. I felt like it was my brain versus someone else's brain fighting together. And I saw during those few moments until he landed back safely and everything was okay, how easy it was for my mind to fall back into fear, to fall back into problem solving from a negative place. Okay, what if something bad happens? What can I do then? How can I manage it? Do I know how to connect with people? What are some of the things that I need to take care of? And then at the same time, I had my normal God-given brain telling me, hey, why are you thinking this? Nothing happened. Why are we projecting something that might not even happen? Most likely will not happen. You are fine. And because of this battle in my head, I realized how easy it was to fall out of peace and into chaos in the span of 5 minutes. From being excited that my husband's flying home and I get to see him in a couple of hours, pick him up from the airport, everything's great. 5 minutes, 2 messages, and it went from great to crazy, not fun. So I found myself losing peace. And that was the moment when I thought, hey, God gave you this peace. You're giving it away. You're not respecting your peace. You're not allowing your peace to control you, but the enemy's fear. What can you do about it right now? And with all of my power and all of my resources, I put worship music on in my headphones. I started cleaning up the kitchen because whenever I clean, I get resourceful and I feel like I'm cleaning my brain. And I said, no, I'm putting all my faith in God, as always. Nothing is touching him. I prayed over everything. I sat in the peace that made no sense for anyone else. I didn't tell anyone anything. And I just sat with God. 35 minutes later, my husband texts me, hey, I landed, we're good. I am changing the flight for tomorrow. They're giving me a hotel. I can rest tonight. Tomorrow morning, it's going to be better. In my brain, I'm like, actually, it's going to be much better because we were also having a snowstorm here. So everything aligned perfectly. In the morning, he got on the plane, smooth flight. At the right time, he landed. Everything was great. We went, picked him up, went out for lunch. It was perfect. So then I realized how easy it was to fall out of grace and into chaos. And that makes me think, and it made me think, why is peace so hard to keep when it's such a strong grounding feeling? And it makes so much sense when you're in that peace and how it feels so much like home when you're in that peace. Yet we stray from home every time an inconvenience happens. And I found myself wondering, how many times do we push peace away when in fact we should be just looking for ways to help God bring us peace back? Because that's the thing. God is very able to bring us the peace. He's always there. We just need to open the right door. The door of peace, not the door of fear. Peace cannot walk through the door of fear. Only fear can. And we cannot have two doors open because we're only allowed to feel one emotion at a time. The brain cannot comprehend two contradicting emotions, so it's going to go with the one that we focus on. So instead of fear, we step into faith, and faith gives us peace. So, my question for you guys today is, when you think of things happening in your life Have you noticed a pattern? Have you noticed a lingering pull towards something that is pulling you away from peace? What is that? What does it make you feel? How does it make you feel? And how can you overcome it from a place of peace? It's that saying in the Bible that says, I think in Romans 12, Romans something. It's do not overcome evil with evil, but overcome evil with good. And when we overcome evil with good, when we overcome fear with peace, when we overcome the chaos with faith and trusting in our Lord at the end of the day, what is available for us then? Everything. That's the thing. We become more resourceful, we become more in tune, we become more capable and powerful and grounded. Because just like God teaches us that I do not give you a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of sound mind. Power, love, and sound mind. Yes, we can bring those to others outside of us, but how often do we bring them to us, to ourselves? When you sit in the space of having faith and trust that you are gifted with power, love, and a sound mind. When you have a sound mind, would you agree that fear has no place in a sound mind? Because most of the time, if not all times, fear is just lack of information. Lack of information brings cloudiness, and cloudiness brings fear. So it's a never-ending cycle of I fear because I don't have information. I don't have information because I fear. And it's a never-ending cycle that keeps you stuck. Versus when you step out of fear, you close that door and you sit with God and pray. The door of peace opens. When the door of peace opens, faith comes in. You feel the spirit of power. You feel the spirit of love, of God's love and grace for you, but also the love that you have for Him and for everyone around you as well. And then you also have the spirit of a sound mind. When you have a sound mind, I can guarantee you, you will be able and capable of doing far more exceedingly great things than you ever thought you would be able to accomplish. And that is what becoming abundant is all about. Because think about it. We are here to create abundance, but what does that abundance look like? In this episode, for me, for my experience, abundance looked like an abundance of peace, when peace made no sense to anyone else but me. So, my darlings, I will leave you with this question. Where in your life are you focusing on the wrong emotion that might be holding you back from experiencing God's peace? See what comes up for you. Make sure you allow yourself to journal, to show up, to see what you can make of everything. Send your answers to me if you want at my email, info@becomingabundant.net. And before I let you go, my darlings, I have a very fun announcement. I have officially launched my beautiful blog, becomingabundant.net. I switched my website from a casual landing page into an absolutely beautiful space of blogging, of resources, of experiences that bring you closer with me to God. Because why not? Why not grow together more in God's faith and presence? So I'll link it down below so you guys can look and read some of the articles that I already published there. And thank you so much for tuning in. My darlings, I love you super much. Thank you for being here. And until next week, remember to stay salty and bright. Bye now.